Frankenstein, Agent of S.H.A.D.E. number 6, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Alberto Ponticelli. We left off last issue with the crossover issue with OMAC, and at the very end, Frankenstein did not appreciate being used as a pawn in interdepartmental stratagems with Father Time. He's here to fight for the side of good and whatnot. This issue is pretty much it's a new arc, and it pulls from everything that we've done so far. It is just a full-on. So we open up, and Dr. Nina, whatever her last name is, the fish lady, she's giving Ray Palmer a tour of the rest of the facility, because I completely forgot he's a UN liaison. He's supposed to be giving a report to the UN. So yeah, he needs to be walked through this place, and they go through the humanid creation and, destruction department? Sure. And basically they walk through okay, the humanids, they're like the workforce of our area here. They exist for only 24 hours. They're made of this green goop. And then after 24 hours, they go back into green goop. And then we recently discovered how to turn the green goop back into more of them. So we have an infinite supply of totally obedient slave people, more or less. And don't worry, there is 100% chance that they will never, ever, ever be sentient. They are never going to question their own humanity. And as they leave the room, one of them questions their own humanity and makes a run for it, because of course he does. And we follow Frankenstein, Khalid, and the Wolfman and the vampire guy, creature commandos, making their way through a river in Vietnam. And they're basically asking, all right, Frankenstein, you brought us out here. What's going on? We don't even know the mission yet. And he's like, all right, this is top secret. Here's the deal. Back during the Vietnam War, we did Watchmen. And if you don't know what that means, apparently Frankenstein was there trying to win the war for the side of the Allies, the good guys, quote unquote, America. And there was a Dr. Manhattan there. His name was Colonel Quantum, but he was literally just Dr. Manhattan. He was winning the war for them. But then one day they went into a diner, and Colonel Quantum was basically like, dude, I'm done. I'm not going out there again. I'm not going to kill anybody else, because this isn't good or bad. This is just killing for the sake of killing. There isn't, and I'm not doing this anymore. And Frankenstein's like, oh, it's your duty, it's your whatever. And they fight for a brief second, but then Colonel Quantum just walks off into the woods and never comes back. And they trace his energy signature for a while, but it slowly got weaker and weaker and weaker. But just 2 weeks ago, a massive atomic wave went off, and it went out for a 50-mile radius and killed thousands of people. And they're like, all right, we're going to go there and we're going to deal with them. And the creature commanders are like, we're going to take him in. And he's like, no, we're here to assassinate him. And these guys were war buddies. They were good friends, but regardless. So we get Lady Frankenstein walking around trying to find something to do because she's so bored with no gigs going on. We see that the thing that has given sentience to the humanids is actually Brother Eye from the last issue, the OMAC crossover issue, which is so surprising because I thought that was not going to ever come back. But yeah, so he's the one that awoke is going around spreading the good news of Brother Eye. So they arrive at his place. The creature commanders arrive at Colonel Quantum's place. They go in. They're expecting some level of a trap or something like that. But as they arrive, they just see an old, hobbled man who's got just these horrible deformities on him. And basically he's like, look, I wanted to come here and die. I am sick of the things that I did during that war, and I wanted to come here and die peacefully. But it's been 40 years. And I haven't died yet, and I don't feel like I ever will because of these powers. And he's like, well, then why did you kill all those people? You know I would come looking for you. And he's like, yeah, I did. Do you have a way to stop me? And Frankenstein pulls out a gun that was handed to him by Ray Palmer that has an anti-nuclear load that it'll cure him, it'll turn him back to human, but it'll also kill him. And Frankenstein double checks, are you sure you want me to use this? And he's like, yeah. So he fires off the shot. But then immediately he just grows to this massive side, crashing out of his little cabin. And Frankenstein and the rest of the creature commanders freak out for a second. They're like, oh, geez, this didn't go. We got to get ready to fight. But then Khalid's like, well, hold on, wait. And we see he shrinks back down. He turns into a normal human. He thanks Frankenstein for having it work, and then he just dies. And he's got a little butterfly motif going on. It's, oh, beautiful. So anyway, the humanids make their way into the zoo, which is like the jail for the ant farm, I guess, if that's what you call it. It's a miniaturized jail inside a miniaturized base of operations. And they're like, all right, well, no room for debate. Here we go. We're going to do it. So they open it up, and everyone's like, that's impossible. The codes to open this thing up are changed every 35 milliseconds. And they're like, well, somebody did. And those things are out. So Frankenstein and Nina lock and load and start making their way down the halls. Father Time calls Frankenstein, telling him he's got to get back here now to deal with this. Because inside of the zoo are the original creature commandos, and we see there's like a blob man and an invisible guy, and it's the ones that Nina mentioned in like issue 2. Like, this has all been seeded throughout everything we've done so far, and I'm so happy to see that. I really like this. I genuinely enjoy this issue because just even the B plot, I honestly think that the Colonel Quantum stuff is the B plot of this, because it seems like the A plot's what's going to cover over into next issue. The B plot is just touching in a beautiful way. You just see this butterfly motif going on. It's fantastic. The A plot's interesting because they seeded it for so long going into this. I'm down with all this, 100%. The art totally fits the style. Ponticelli's still on the same game that he has been this whole issue or whole series. I can't fault pretty much any of this. I'm going to go ahead and give this I'm giving this an 8 for right now, because it's just the introduction. We have yet to pay off anything. There's still some stumbling blocks that it could trip over, but in terms of setup, it's doing a fantastic job, and I am looking forward to reading what I hope is longer than just the one issue left in this trade, but I guess we'll see.